fast. Thank you all for joining us this evening and welcome. This is our second event in the Mays Institute Speaker Series, and we're thrilled to have James Moore with us this evening. We're privileged to have a true leader in the field of advancement join us, and I am pleased that our students, faculty, staff, alumni, as well as longtime and newly welcome members of our community are with us for this engaging conversation. We have many people with us, and some who are not with us, that we need to thank for being in this beautiful, safe space to discuss how to make spaces such as this even more welcoming for a variety of different kinds of people. I would like to thank Rose Mays, who with her family founded the Institute, and for entrusting the school with this legacy. I would also like to recognize members of the Mays Institute Council. I don't know if Lacey hasn't joined us. Yes? Oh, the chair of our council, Lacey Johnson. I would like to recognize him. Thank you for being with us. Other members of the council with us tonight include Joyce Rogers, Una Osili, who is Dean's Fellow, leads the Mays Institute for Diverse Philanthropy. And we were expecting to see a couple of others, but I'm sure they'll join us in due course. I'm also very pleased that there's so many leaders from Indiana University and IUPUI who have been so supportive of the Mays Institute. And we're also pleased to welcome Dr. James Wimbush, who's the IU Vice President for Diversity, Equity, and Multicultural Affairs and Dean of the University Graduate School. The Mays Institute is indeed fortunate to have so many devoted champions. The Mays Family Institute on Diverse Philanthropy fosters a greater understanding of the ways in which underrepresented people are both inspired and informed to be generous donors by providing knowledge, education, and training. The Institute seeks to understand the perceptions, practices, experiences, and needs of the individuals and institutions that generate philanthropy in underrepresented communities, and develops programming and services to engage practitioners, scholars, and the public at large in conversations and activities to advance this field. The Institute's inspiration, William G. Mays, began his nearly 50-year career in Indianapolis and provided outstanding local, national, and international leadership in the business, civic, and philanthropic sectors. The Mays Family Institute is a tribute to and a celebration of his legacy. This institute honors the philanthropic values of Bill and his wife Rose to provide the community with a space for public inquiry, hands-on training, and the study of generosity within historically underrepresented groups. Like our school's other institutes, the Mays Institute is an integral part of the school, and like the Lake Institute and the Women's Philanthropy Institute, it is emerging as a significant resource for the field of philanthropy in Indiana, nationally and beyond. We have already done research that looks at the consequences of increased diversity on nonprofit boards, and there is much more to come. Indeed, it is the questions and the curiosity that we bring to the table that will make the Institute a vital partner to so many endeavors in the sector that wrestle with the urgent imperative of inclusion in our society. Since you have joined us in this journey with the Mays Family Institute, I want to take a moment to highlight subsequent visitors who will help enrich our dialogue on this academic year. Next week, we'll be welcoming Reverend Wilson, Dr. Braxton, and Ms. Larimore for a comprehensive conversation on race matters, faith and philanthropy in the African American community at the Christian Theological Seminary. Please join us again in January when we welcome Susan Batten, the President and CEO of the Association of Black Foundation Executives. Those of you who are familiar with the school and the center know that this institution was incubated at the center some 20 years ago. In March, we will welcome Noah Dresner, an expert on LGBTQ philanthropy, who will be speaking at the new downtown location of Strada Education. And then finally, in this series, we'll be welcoming Sandra Vargas, the former CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation, who will be representing philanthropy in the Latino community. And now, it is my pleasure to invite to the podium a recent alumnus to introduce our special guest this evening, Josh Moore, who is no relation to Jim Moore, but he does have an important connection to him. will be doing the honors. Josh graduated with a master's in philanthropic studies in 2017 and is currently serving as Associate Director of Foundation Relations at Indiana University. Please welcome Josh to the stage.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks again for being here. Thank you, Dean Pasek, for the introduction. And you stole my joke, but that's okay. So I'd like to read Jim's official biography and then tell you a little bit more about my work with Jim and how he's affected my career and interest in this field. So James H. Moore Jr. is the president and CEO of the University of Illinois Foundation, serving the system's 3 campuses at Urbana-Champaign, Chicago, and Springfield. In this capacity, Moore serves as the university's Chief Development Officer and provides strategic oversight and support to a comprehensive fundraising operation that secures, on average, more than $300 million in new gifts and pledges each year, manages along with the university a combined endowment of more than $2 billion, and supervises more than 450 staff members. Moore is a nationally recognized and award-winning fundraising professional with nearly 35 years of experience in public and private higher education. He previously served as president and CEO of the University of Arizona Foundation and the University of Northern Colorado Foundation. He also held senior-level positions at Northwest Missouri State University, Clarkson University, the University of Arizona, and Iowa State University. Moore is viewed as a national leader in higher education advancement and currently serves as chair-elect on the National Board of Trustees for the Council for the Advancement and Support of Education, or CASE, a leading professional organization that serves academic institutions and their development staff. He has served on the CASE National Committee on Institutionally Related Foundations, as well as its Commission on Philanthropy. Moore is the 2015 recipient of the CASE Common Fund Institutionally Related Foundation Award for his contributions to the foundation field through best practices, distinguished service, and volunteer leadership. So again, that is Jim's official biography, and now I have the privilege to share how I know he is an effective, inclusive leader. I was fortunate to work with Jim at the University of Illinois Foundation the same summer that he started as a summer intern. This internship was my first experience in educational advancement, and it was slightly overwhelming in the way that all worthwhile learning experiences are. Jim was transitioning into his current role, as I said, but despite that fact, he was taking the helm of a high-stakes, complex organization. He still insisted on scheduling time to meet each of the summer interns, to get to know us, and to ask about our professional aspirations. When I met Jim, I reported that I would be starting the MA program at the Lilly Family School of Philanthropy in the fall. He praised the program, and he wished me luck. I learned later that he immediately called the school, complimenting my work and asking if they would look out for me. It was an incredible gesture, especially to a nervous first-year graduate student. And it was a mark of a supportive leader who wanted to see a young professional grow and succeed, even if that wasn't at his own institution. I am very happy that he is here today to share his wisdom about the kind of leadership that will advance diversity and inclusion in our field. So please help me welcome our guest, Jim Moore.
Situation, more of a conversation with the whole audience. I've prepared a few questions to get us going, but I know there's a lot of folks in the audience who have different aspects of your background and your wisdom that they would love to tap into. But Jim, just to get us going, you lead the foundation that supports one of the great public universities in the country and globally indeed. Well, tell us a little bit about how you chose philanthropy as a profession and the path that led you to UI.
Oh, goodness. Well, as you heard from Josh, I've had a lot of jobs, so that might say I'm a guy that can't keep a job. So there's lots of ways the story could go. I guess I'd probably start by saying, really, I think it chose me. I was a first-generation college student, so I had no exposure at all to what philanthropy was all about, other than maybe being a recipient of some generosity our family needed from time to time. And I went to college on a football scholarship, so my my only reason to go to school was because I wanted to continue to play sports. And anyway, graduated, decided I was going to be a football coach, and so I started working as a graduate assistant football coach, working on my MBA. And this is going to tell you a little bit about how old I am. So one night I was in my office, and I was, this in the old days, I was writing a paper, and my girlfriend was typing the paper for me. And then we dated a couple of years, and she asked me a question. She said, well, why does a football coach need an MBA? I thought, okay, well, undergraduate is this, and this is how the graduate programs work. She understood that, but then she said, well, I don't want to marry a football coach. So I sat there for a few minutes, it's kind of like just crushing a boy's dream in one fell swoop. And long story short, I changed my career. We've been married 27 years now. But I got into this business essentially because I wanted to eventually find my way back into athletics. And back at that time, I was advised to try to get into athletic administration. Maybe through the fundraiser round, I had coach, I had MBA, and one thing led to the next. And as I said, I think the career chose me because the longer I was in the business and the more experience I gained working with donors who were passionate about things that impacted lives and communities, it just seemed like this was the place for me and what I needed to be.
So, given the theme of our conversation today, I would guess that you did not encounter many men or women of color as you progressed on your journey in philanthropy that chose you. What are some of the obstacles and cultural presuppositions that you had to manage?
Yeah, no, and I think, unfortunately, our sector is still much like it was when I got into business many years ago. There weren't a lot of faces of color and diverse backgrounds and experiences, at least that I was exposed to when I got into the business. And in fact, I think that at times, I think that if you were, in my case, you're African American in higher ed, it was natural for you to be a coach. It was natural for you to maybe think about working in athletics, or I had colleagues who worked in admissions, but it quickly became minority admissions. Not a lot of leaders that looked like me that I could model or emulate or try to learn from. And to me that was not surprising. I kind of grew up in a situation where discrimination was around me most of my life, the product of an interracial marriage, and so I realized that I had to try to look beyond that lack of representation and seek people out to help me regardless of what their backgrounds were. But yeah, I think we've got a long way to go there in that space.
Well, that leads to my kind of second question that's related to that is, who helped you navigate what is a rapidly developing profession that I think when you started would have probably been mostly dominated by white men and is now predominantly female. What kind of mentors did you find?
Well, my first mentor was the woman who hired me to be an assistant director of annual giving at Clarkson University. I think, I look back on where I am today, and in a lot of ways it was because of her. She took me in a short period of time, it basically taught me everything she knew about the business, and sent me to a case conference, invested in me, really with no knowledge that I was really committed to this career, but she wanted to help me learn the business, and it was through that experience that I learned how to support others when I had the opportunity. But she was one. Had another small shop experience, and that was Clarkson's small private university, but then I went to back to my alma mater, actually, a small university again, and another mentor there that took it upon himself to put me in situations that my job title had gave me no credibility to sit around the table with some of these situations, but a chance to represent him on campus, and again, I said to some of the students earlier, he was also the one that taught me about needing to manage your ego in this business. And, that advice really helped me. But probably the person over the last 10 years that's been most influential, and I'm giving you 3 different kinds of examples of mentorship, was a gentleman that I worked for at Iowa State, and I was there for just a short period of time. And at the time, I was still thinking I wanted to get back into athletics. And he asked me why. And I said, well, I like sports. That's kind of my thing. And we happened to be in a car going to the Big 12 basketball tournament in Kansas City. And he said, well, you have any problem getting tickets to the basketball game this weekend? And I said, no. And he said, well, would you watch all the football games? I said, well, in the suite with the president. He said, well, that's about as good as it gets, isn't it? And oh, by the way, did you have any calls from in the middle of the night waking you up about the 18 to 22-year-old kids that you may have responsibility for as an athletic director? And I just looked at him and I said, I know where this is going. And he said, no, he said, the reason why I'm telling you all these things is if you really want a career in advancement, you're at a place right now where you can get there. But what he told me is you need to be really thoughtful about the kinds of skills that you need to take that next step. And that was really important advice, really important counsel to be thoughtful about the way in which I built my portfolio.
Well, he certainly seemed to give you great advice because you're currently running a $3.1 billion campaign. Tell us a bit about the size of the staff that you need to manage the campaign and the other functions of the foundation, like managing the endowment.
Yeah. Well, as Josh said, we're a pretty big enterprise. We're a large matrixed organization. It's a system advancement shop, which means I have responsibility for 3 universities, and there are 3 separate universities that are part of one system. And as Josh said, there are about 450 employees. 150 of those employees are foundation employees. The foundation is a separate non-public body, so we're a not-for-profit corporation. I do not work for the state of Illinois. I report to a board, and although I tell people I don't report to the president of the university, but I behave like I do. And that's another important lesson to be mindful of. And we do. We manage the assets, we manage the investments, we manage the development programs, but all systems are a little different, and all foundations are a little different. We like to say if you've seen one foundation, you've seen one foundation.
And so as you approach managing and recruiting and retaining team members for such a ambitious, one might even say, kind of the grand goals that you have for yourself, how do you go about that? What kind of guidelines do you use thinking about the recruitment, retaining challenge of such a big operation and getting the high performers you need to launch?
Well, I've always found that if you really kind of start with trying to hire smart people, that's cliche, we probably all heard that, hire people who are smarter than you and all that kind of stuff, but I think there's some truth to that. But don't just hire smart people. I really believe that equally important and maybe more important over the years as I've led and managed people, I look for people I can trust. At the end of the day, if you bring people into your organization that you can't trust, who will be not just there to support you and commit to the institution, but they're also people that are trustworthy. I think you really are going to be challenged. So smart people that are trustworthy and that also work hard. I'm a big believer in people with high motors. They run real hard and run real fast. We had a conversation earlier about work-life balance, and I know we can get down into that later. But those are the kinds of things I look for. And then one of the things, a strategy that I've used throughout my management and leadership career is I always try to find, and I was a beneficiary of someone who believed in this, so I learned it from someone else. That's another thing. There are a lot of lessons to be learned. Just ask questions, open up your eyes, and look around you. But I will always try to take that smart person and put them in a job that they're not quite ready for. And 9 out of 10 times, they work as hard as they possibly can to prove to you they deserve the opportunity that you gave them. And then the minute they figure out the job, I promote them. And we go through that cycle as long as we possibly can. And if I do it right and they do it right, sometimes they end up in leadership positions in our organizations. Most other times they end up in leadership positions in some of your organizations. And that's fine.
That's great. Well, that's a kind of very generous approach to developing talent. And this approach that you have in terms of promoting performance, how do you build in diversity and inclusivity? How do you try to include that into your recruitment and retention?
That I will tell you, I have not found the secret sauce there. There's a couple of issues. One, I think, is the pipeline issue. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But I've always challenged our managers, our hiring managers, to make sure that they not only are mindful of diversity, but they think about it as they start the hiring process. And then, we obviously have to be mindful about hiring to the skills and the job. And I haven't been, there are times when I look back on my career, while, I've been an example maybe for others to follow or to maybe look to, but I don't know that I often question myself that I've done enough. And so that's one thing in terms of trying to be a model and a leader for other people of color in this case. But I will tell you, I think I've been pretty successful in some other areas within the diversity spectrum, and that's been promoting women. We, as was said, we have a profession that is predominantly women now, and I don't know if it's a race, gender issue that, I found it easier to work with women who have experienced some of the same challenges I experienced as someone who sat around the table that didn't look like leadership. And, I still think today we can, when you look at the data, women don't get paid as much as men, even in this business. They tend to have to work longer in jobs along the ladder on the way up to get to the top. And for me, I thought, well, this is just too simple. There's a lot of talent right there. Why not just recruit that talent into your organization and promote them? Again, in Illinois, one of the first things I did in the first 30 days I was there, we had a very talented woman on our staff who had been running the finance operation, but she'd been doing the work of the CFO role, but was never given the title and never given the paycheck, and I promoted her in 30 days. And my board looked at me a little strangely, you've got to assess your talent before you do that. I said, well, I knew about her before I got here. And then I said, well, let's talk about, so maybe the other part of the answer to that question is I've also found, having worked for and led institutionally related organizations, one way to get the diversity recruitment of staff topic on the table is to talk about the recruitment of diverse board members. And so when we can have that conversation about the need to diversify our boards, it's easier to have that conversation about how much it makes sense also to think about diversifying your staff. So again, I full disclosure, have not done as well at bringing more diverse populations into this business as I would have hoped to. Oftentimes, as I look back, the 5 or 10 young people of diverse backgrounds that I brought into the business were really students that I grabbed a hold of because I saw something in them and put them in an internship program that I created.
So you spoke of boards, and you served on boards, including the board of CASE, and we hear that boards of the institutions that we serve want to look more like the institutional composition and their communities as well. What has your experience been with boards and diversifying boards?
Well, a lot of times boards, they're supposed to represent your donor community in this business, and that's something I never apologize for. I think there's some must-haves if you're in the business of philanthropy and you're building a fundraising board. And I debate this with my colleagues from time to time, but I don't apologize for saying that our board members need to be donors. That's what we do, right? And so we start with the must-haves. And that's, in my opinion, for my development team to do their jobs well, they need those leaders sitting around the table that are examples of philanthropists. But I also think that sometimes it's easy for organizations like ours to say, well, there just aren't enough women out there, there just aren't enough, African Americans out there, there aren't enough, people who come from diverse communities, and I don't believe that's the case. You have to make it a priority, and everywhere I've been able to sit down with my membership committee chair, and we put together a scoring system to weight some of these things, these characteristics, and that's been helpful. I was really proud of the fact that Arizona, we grew the membership of women on our board significantly during my time there. When I left there, the board chair was the first woman board chair in the history of the foundation, first woman to lead the investment committee in the history of the foundation. And the gentleman that hired me was Latino. So, it's something you have to commit to, and your leadership has to commit to it. But don't give up on it. If you figure out the secret sauce, call me.
So we mentioned CASE, and through CASE is how I initially got to know you, and it's a wonderful organization, and has been also trying to contribute to making the profession more inclusive. What efforts at CASE do you think have been useful and in the past, and what is CASE planning in the future that can be useful for us, and perhaps something we might think about working together with?
Well, CASE has actually, in the last few years, we reintroduced a program, a fellowship program. It's called the Clarence Stuper Fellows Program, and now it's the CASE Minority Advancement Institute. And it's a summer institute. I had the pleasure of chairing it for 3 years, and when I took it over, it was designed for mid-career professionals, 6 to 10 years of experience in advancement. But we capped it at 25 people. And I thought, why are we doing that? Well, it's a resource issue. We don't have enough, funds to bring more students in. And I said, well, you're not going to deal with the pipeline problem at 25 a pop, so we need to talk about trying to get some more money. And I talked to the board at CASE and the president, John Picott, at the time, and we started growing it. And so that institute grew to double during my 3 years there. They're continuing to grow it, but in addition to that, a group called the CASE 50, which is the top 50 fundraising programs in the United States, including Oxford and Cambridge. It's called the CASE 50, but there's 63 members in it, so it's kind of the Big 12 or Big 10. That group sat around the table and got together 2 or 3 times of the year, and we always talk about horizon issues. Well, the lack of diversity in the pipeline has been on the horizons for years, and nobody's really done anything about it. And so the gentleman that runs the Minority Advancement Institute came and spoke to all of us and said, I'd like to grow an internship program and place someone at every one of your institutions. Would you be interested in funding one? And everybody in the room raised their hand. And I think this last year there were almost 100 of those those fellows that were placed at our institutions around the country. And CASE continues to look at ways to create internship programs to bring more people into the business, period, but really with a lot of discussion around the table, the leadership table now, about how to specifically bring a more diverse population into this business. And it just makes sense, right? I mean, you look at our universities and our alumni communities, they don't look like they did 50 years ago. And so we need a professional network of folks that do what we do that can support those growing and evolving communities of donors. So those are some of the things we've been working on and that I've been personally involved in.
That's great. Well, if there's some way the Mays Institute can play a role or accelerate that, that sounds very promising. So let's switch gears a little bit to kind of the atmosphere on campuses. This is clearly a time of intense social and political tension in our country, and that tension is often magnified on our campuses. In that tension, issues of diversity are often front and center in the turbulence that we face. What is the impact at University of Illinois, and what have you been having to deal with in this context?
Oh boy, where do I start? Well, just today in the newspaper, I picked up the newspaper this morning, and top of the fold was a story about a faculty member at Illinois who, in our College of Law, this is all public, so you can read it in the newspaper, I won't say his name, but, had been sexually harassing students and other faculty members for years, and nobody did anything about it. And it was sort of widely known, front page of the paper this morning. Though, and we're not unique there. I mean, I'm calling out Illinois because we asked about what's going on in Illinois, but I've been there 3.5 years, and when I arrived, we were reliving issues related to the Native American identity, the Fighting Illini, and a symbol of the athletic department that has been very controversial, still is, always will be probably. We've had experienced a number of protests on campus recently related to anti-Semitism and protests against Israel. And the last presidential election, our Chicago campus was at that time was going to host a rally for then candidate Donald Trump, which turned into a safety issue and ended up in national news, and had to cancel that. Most recently, former President Obama was on campus, and that eventually we found offended some of our donors because they thought his message was too political. I just, before I left my office yesterday, confirmed with the donor that we were sending $100,000 of his money back to his charitable donor advised fund because at his request he felt like his university laid down by letting President Obama speak on campus. And so while Illinois state law does not really allow us or encourage us to give money back, I called the Attorney General's office to ask how to make it happen so I could give him his money back. Those are just a few of the things that have happened in the last couple of years. But I think the point is, all of our campuses are tinderboxes right now. And if you think about all of these issues, we're better to have these debates and discussions than on university campuses. So I don't think, while these are today's issues, if you look back over the last many decades, our universities have always been the center of these kinds of controversies.
What impact is it having on kind of the business of advancement? I mean, what is your team doing? How are they coping with the tensions that must arise as a course?
I counsel our team to take, to don't run away from any of these issues. Be a good listener. Try to hear people and their perspectives without judging them. Again, I think we are having donors who aren't happy, and I deal with the nasty grams in the mail from a few folks, but I think more people appreciate that our universities are these places where critical conversations can occur, and we've actually invited critical conversations around these very difficult issues on our campuses. Our president invited the media in to have a discussion about how the university should respond to some of these things, and again, I just think you got to handle it head on. I happened to transfer to Illinois. I took the job, and I was commuting my first year back to Tucson. And when you go to work, you have to dress like this all the time. But when I was back in Tucson working for Illinois, I could go to the grocery store with my shorts on, and I had an Illinois T-shirt on. And I happened to walk into the grocery store near where I lived, and this gentleman stopped me and he said, "So we got to get Lovie Smith. This is where you're going to your football coach change." And I said, "I don't know. What do you think?" And I already knew we had him hired because I was involved in that. And he said, "Well, yeah, I think it's going to happen." I said, "Oh, so you're an Illini?" He said, Yeah. I graduated from the U of I, and I used to give them a lot of money. And the athletic department would send their people out here, and I gave them a lot of money. And I said, let me guess, no chief, no check." He looked at me. He said, "Yeah, that's right." And I reached out my hand, I said, I'm Jim Warren, the president of the University of Illinois. And he looked at me and we kind of chuckled about it. And I said, now you honestly can't tell me that the only reason why you invest in your alma mater is because of the chief. I said, I hope that's not the case. There are lots of reasons why your institution needs you and why you should have a lifelong relationship with it. And I said, I hope you'll reconsider at some point. So I've kind of kept in touch with him. He hasn't written a check yet, but
That's really interesting. Let me connect back to kind of away from the current politics, but to more kind of structural problems before we open it up to the audience. Our research shows that a lot of practitioners in the field also seem to echo this perception that the overall amount of giving, as the overall amount of giving continues to grow, fewer Americans are giving. Alumni participation rates are going down. Is that also what you're seeing at University of Illinois? And what do you make of this? And what is your response?
yeah, I think, well, certainly alumni participation rates are going down. And we've seen that. That trend's been, your researchers probably have better data, but it's at least 15, maybe 20 years downward trend. Some of that, for us big institutions, is a math problem. The numerator and the denominator. When you graduate 20,000 students every year, it takes a lot of work to have that participation rate start to trend upwards. So sometimes it's a math problem. People also give differently. We have a lot of alumni that make major gifts, but they're not on our annual donor rolls every year because they make significant gifts, or maybe they give through donor advised funds, they give through other ways than just writing that check and being counted as an alumnus. So it takes a little bit more work to make sure you're tracking that stuff the right way. But I think the truth of the matter is there's also a lot of competition out there. People are not as willing to just make gifts and assume that those charities they invest in are just going to do good with it, and they're a bit more selective and hold us as charitable organizations to be more accountable for those funds. So we are seeing slight reduction in the number of donors every year, but gift revenue is going up.
Right.
So I think some of that also has to do with our younger population and how we reach them. Young people are a little bit more nomadic these days, and they communicate differently. And you need to make sure your organizations are able to reach them in their terms and on their terms. And we haven't, many of us at universities haven't gotten very good at that yet.
What do you see the role of underrepresented communities in this calculus when you're trying to build participation?
Again, I think we need to take time to understand what motivates all of our donors and meet them where it matters most to them. And I think in some cases, I was explaining a situation at another institution where we recognize that a particular community resonated more with investing in family as opposed to investing in the university. And when we started to change our messaging and talked about how philanthropy, in this case, gives some scholarship programs to support mentoring programs for our Latina students, that investing in, making an investment in the university, this was at Arizona, the University of Arizona, in support of those initiatives was investing in family. That resonated with that community. So again, you got to meet people where it matters most to them, and that can be, again, thinking about digital strategies and using technology. That can also be working with community partners to engage people and create opportunities that show more than just you're addressing some need. Especially universities. Newsflash: we're not the neediest charities in the world.
Right. That's right. That's very wise. Well, let's open up to the audience. There's a microphone that is coming around. So please identify yourself and ask away. Sasha, yeah.
So you mentioned a couple times the issue with the pipeline, and I think you sort of referenced how to reach mid-career.
I said, where I've been most successful was actually with that younger community. If I've had any success at all in recruiting diversity, recruiting people from diverse backgrounds, it was with undergraduate students that I saw had transferable skills, or I believed would really succeed in the business in some way. And we would create internships for them. I would create the internships to get them into the business. I also have a little bit of a bias. I mentioned my background in athletics. I have really, it's biased, but I've had success recruiting student athletes into this business. They understand setting goals. They tend to be hard workers, and a lot of particularly young African American men that end up on a university campus in an athletic department. I was one of them. Many of us were first generation students, and you go to college and don't know really where it's going to take you in a lot of cases. And so I've targeted that population a little bit, and it's worked for me at least to be able to have now they don't all go into the business, but they do have I think their eyes are open to the industry. And we hired a young woman this year who was one of our rock star softball players, and she had 3 job offers, and I convinced her to take a job at the foundation as opposed to taking a job in the athletic department. And that kind of targeting, I targeted her for the same internship that Josh had. Those are some of the things that I think more people like me need to do more often, and we need to build these out, these internship opportunities out on our campuses. And I was mentioning to the students who were earlier, Michigan and UCLA do a really good job of creating these kinds of internships to get the pipeline primed at a much earlier place. But again, I think this is a business where if you do it well, especially if you're a young person and you get into it and you're doing all the things we're doing here at Mays Institute and at the Lilly School, getting the educational foundation, if you have some success, you can go in so many different directions. And a lot of times we lose people, the industry loses people to consulting and investment banking and marketing, corporate relations. We lose people because we develop those kinds of skills. So, there's competing forces that are contributing to that pipeline problem. And some of them we can control, some of them we can't.
Thanks for sharing some time with us, Jim, tonight. My question is along the lines of the business end of philanthropy. We want minorities to get involved, we want them to give, but share with me your experiences, and you'll have to make about the University of Illinois. When it comes to investing the money, I'm on the Indiana University Foundation, and I don't see any of the investment going through minorities. So we can't be on one side of the philanthropy chain and not benefit from it. Right. So can you share with me the impediments you see and how would we break them down?
Yeah. That's a good question. I guess our portfolio is diverse in terms of the way it's constructed. Our banking relationships tend to be much like any business. They're bid out to providers that fulfill the needs we have, and so we don't. I think, like a lot of places, we don't take a strategic approach to targeting minority-owned investment firms and brokerage and banking services. We probably could. I know on the state side, and am I answering the question, or am I going down the wrong path? On the state side, on the state side, the vendors, there are approved vendors that, and particularly in Illinois, I think our board of trustees has done a really good job of holding the university to being committed to hiring minority-owned businesses. And we do so on the vendor side. We use the university's approved vendor list and go through that same process. I have seen at some of our professional conferences, so for instance at the Association of Governing Board meetings that occur on an annual basis and our institution-related foundation meetings, we have seen an increase in minority represented firms at those conferences. Again, everybody's trying to drive performance, and so we're looking at those that perform well, and many firms that show up, I think, benefit from those kinds of meetings.
My follow-up is not, that's great, but a lot of minority, this is a plug for Kelly. It has some of the best graduates in there on Wall Street.
Mm-hmm.
They're in the big houses. They're at Chase. They're at others who invest our money.
Mm-hmm.
And all that it would take is for either one side of that coin to say, it's important for us to be diverse in our money management.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you make a good point. I don't disagree at all. Yeah.
Hi, Tiara Dungy, second year PhD student. We have the privilege of having the case files in our philanthropic library. There's like 45 boxes, and because I had to go through all of them for a project last year. But I was looking for the trajectory of diversity in the history of CASE. And what I found, there were some really cool things, including my alma mater being involved, Spelman. But something that I saw there that I see a lot is the kind of cycle of diversity caring, where, this decade it's women, next decade it's, black people, and this decade is, people going to community colleges. And it's something that I've seen elsewhere, not just on campus, but in the media and all that kind of stuff. How do you recommend we get over that cyclical nature of right now we're hot, 5 years from now, maybe people won't care. 5 years later, we'll say, oh, where were we on diversity?
Yeah. No, it's a really good question. In fact, CASE, by design, is an organization that is global, right? We have 4,200 members and 90,000 advancement professionals around the world. But our current governance model has 8 districts in the U.S., region in Asia Pacific, emerging markets in Africa, CASE Latino America, Mexico, and CASE Europe. And they're all operating as these independent confederations. And so, you tend to see interest in diversity ebb and flow at a district level, at a regional level. When you have a model like that is really led by volunteers, not professional staff. And in fact, as a board over the last 3-4 years, we recognize that some of the things that you mentioned, whether it's initiatives around diversity or globalization or member services, you have these peaks and valleys, and what might be important to District 3 isn't important to District 7. And that may be a reality, but if we're all branded as CASE, we need to be mindful of how that looks externally and then internally to our members. So we're actually going through a process right now, and you're going to hear a lot about it. It's one of the things that our new president has worked a lot on, and that's creating a new governance model, one CASE. And it allowed us, in its early iteration of being developed, allowed us to create a strategic plan, even prior to adopting it, a strategic plan that focused on talent management, that focused on member services, globalization, and diversity is tied in. We had a really big conversation about how do you take these cornerstone themes of the plan, and should diversity be a separate one? Because if you look back at probably some of those files, you'll see that over time, diversity was actually called out as a priority in the strategic plan. And we said diversity's got to be a thread that goes through all of them. It can't just be a pillar that is in the plan this year and then 5 years later it falls out of the plan. We had a lot of discussion about that. And the good news is, in our meeting next month in Virginia, we're going to vote to adopt this thing. All of the districts, I just got back from Brussels last week and London last week, and we got Case Europe on board. There's an agreement to create a one-case model where we can have these kinds of conversations and focus as an industry on what strategically we need to do to address the priorities of the practice. And so I think you're going to see some change there, but it's, no question about it. I mean, even in the diversity portfolio case, a good friend Rob Henry has run that for years, and we've introduced just in the last couple of years, and it's really kind of strange to say just in the last couple of years, an annual conference for LGBT, an annual conference for our HBCU community. We're starting to talk at the Case 50 table a little bit more about really organizing initiatives around diversity, but it's now being pushed around the strategic plan and not just as a single pillar. I think that'll help.
As you just mentioned, the Mays Institute is collaborating with the African American Development Organization as part of the case for a conference here in India in April. So that's great. Jane?
Hi, Jane Dawn. I'm curious, back to the University of Illinois Foundation, who do you see as your primary constituent or who you most want to help in this work, and how do you engage them or listen to their needs or expectations of the foundation?
So me and my role, or the foundation itself? The foundation only exists to support the university writ large. And again, so that's the philanthropic priorities are set by the university leaders. And my job is to make sure our team has the resources they need to deliver the fundraising and development program services. So, and obviously, we can't do our job without our donors. And so, where we do have from time to time counsel and coach our leaders is to make sure they understand that just because something's a priority to them doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a priority to the donor community. So again, I guess fundamentally we exist to support the University of Illinois, and we do that really by managing those philanthropic relationships with our donors.
Would you like to have a question?
Sure. So this could be a general question for all foundations and endowments, but I'll keep it specific to the university setting. So there's this growing conversation about some are perhaps too large. And the next dollar that goes to Harvard may not be the best dollar and may not be able to serve the best purpose. So as a leader of a foundation, do you ever recognize that you are the right size, or you are perhaps too large, or are you always beholden to the foundation and you're going to compete for that dollar regardless of its use?
Well, I think it's the issue is the foundation too large in my opinion, or are endowments too large? Harvard's been kicked about quite a bit over the last couple of years over this, and of course, we saw at the federal level legislation that now taxes the largest foundations, public or private university foundations. But we forget back in 2008, 2009. Harvard shut down a number of construction projects on their campus. Stanford laid off hundreds of people because they didn't have the money to pay them. They build those institutions on the backs of these endowments. And Stanford raised $1 billion in financial aid in one of the recent campaigns. And a friend of mine, I was teasing him about that. I'm like, come on, enough is enough, right? And he said, Jim, unfortunately, you got to feed the beast. You find the university president that won't come up with an initiative that again does good work to support improving the human condition. That's what we're here for. And so I fundamentally believe that there's still a lot of work to be done in the higher ed sector to impact all of our lives and communities. And I also recognize in the public sector that state support is not coming back. You look at the costs of higher education has gone up, and the greater burden of that cost has been placed on the back of the student and the parent, and that's not going to change. So, yeah, we have large endowments. I think there's maybe a conversation to be had about should we spend more of it payout rates in the 4 and 5%. But when you do the math, and go back to the investment portfolios and look at inflation, look at the cost to operate these programs, we have 720,000 alumni at Illinois, and I've got a couple hundred gift officers. So I could spend another $30 million on the fundraising enterprise if I had it. Maybe we raised, last year we raised almost $500 million. We were $2 million short from $500 million, almost that. But that's not enough. That was last year, and this year we've got to go out and do more. So, and I think that's not suggesting we need to build these large caches of cash, but I do think that public universities in particular need to be mindful that private gifts are going to drive these things going forward.
Do you have time for one last question? If not, then I'll ask the last question. Last question is, so what keeps you up at night at the foundation? What are the things that really worry you about that?
It's a resource issue. I really do. I think it's recognizing that university leaders, particularly presidents and chancellors, are under a lot of pressure. Their consumers are requiring more of them, demanding more of them, and so they demand more of us. So, in some ways, I'd probably say managing expectations is really a challenge. And then I think probably the other, when I think about my role in the entire enterprise, I really believe it's to make sure that I'm providing our team with the resources to do their job. And so that's a constant, struggle. I think human capital is 80% of our budget. So you have people to do these jobs. And so those are probably the things, managing the expectations of leadership. Actually, I had a provost call me out on that one. The doctor, actually I sent my vice president to talk to her. She said, "Did Jim send you here to manage my expectations?" I said, "Yes, she finally got it." But those are probably the things.
Because the campaigns keep getting larger and larger.
Yeah.
Harvard's going to do, what do you think, $10 billion?
Oh yeah, everybody wants to be in the 3 comma club. There's $1 billion, the biggest number you can in front of that comma. But it's, I think that's just the sign of the times. And these are great universities. I mean, you're sitting in a place today that looks very different probably today than it did 30 years ago, right? And it's going to look even better 30 years from now. And I guess when you look at the financials of the enterprise, you're going to see that there's more philanthropic money. That's running the place.
Well, Jim, thank you for spending time with us, and please join me in thanking Jim for